buy foreign oil, when we have ways to do our own, drill our own oil here safely, cleanly, we can do this. And it seems like we're supporting people that want to kill us. And I don't understand that. 1970 had more refineries in this country than we have today. And I'm quite upset about this, you know, and I want to know how you can turn this around and let the Saudis and all of them drink their oil. We have plenty here.
I'm fond of saying that we're an energy-rich nation that's being forced to live like an energy-poor nation. And one of the reasons is we have a president who happens to be so influenced by a very extreme element of his party that doesn't like oil, doesn't like gas, doesn't like coal, doesn't like nuclear. And I like solar and wind, but solar and wind are not going to power our automobiles and our homes. We have to have carbon-based fuels as well. And it's high time for America to immediately take advantage of the resources we have. There was an extraordinary discovery some years ago. We used to drill by going into the earth in a vertical way. They learned how to go down vertically and then start going horizontally. And as they go horizontally, they can tap into pockets of gas and oil that weren't previously available to us. And by forcing liquid in there, they call it fracking, they can get out that gas. They've discovered about 100 years of natural gas in this country. In this country, we can use that gas. We can use our shale oil and shale gas, Marcellus gas, which is now available to us. We can do this additional drilling and fracking and provide these resources for America, as well as our coal, clean coal. But you know, we're going to have a president who is more concerned with Americans and our own energy security than he is with the vocal voices of the most extreme elements of the Democratic Party. I frankly am not terribly concerned about those extreme voices. I care about Americans and jobs, and I will develop our resources and have a policy that gets us finally energy secure and not dependent upon the oil cartels. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Roger Spark. I'm a retired obstetrician gynecologist. I delivered 4,000 babies. Medical expenses are going out sky high. The good part of the problem is unnecessary malpractice lawsuits. Now in Texas, your competitor has enacted a lot of tort reform in Texas. The doctors are streaming into Texas. What would you do, because you want to get rid of Obamacare, what would you do to alleviate the situation of unnecessary malpractice lawsuits?
Good question. And by the way, the answer about what ought to be done with regards to these frivolous lawsuits and the extraordinary cost of defensive medicine is pretty simple. You ought to have limits on non-economic damages that people suffer as a result of malpractice. And there are a number of models for how you do that. And we all know that. We all agree to it. But unfortunately, in the Democratic Party, there's massive money that comes in from the trial lawyers that make money suing doctors. And so the Democratic Party insists on protecting that source of campaign contribution. It's simply unsavory and unseemly for us to continue in that course. And if I'm president, and I expect we're going to have a Republican House and a Republican Senate, we will finally Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Mr. Romney, my name is Brenda Hermanson, and here in the state of Arizona, we have an issue with the border. It's very serious, and we are very concerned. We have Sheriff Paul Bevy who's working on it very hard. And as president, what are you going to do with this border? It's a major concern, Mr. Romney.
Yeah, thank you. I like legal immigration a lot. It's good for America. And to protect legal immigration and make it work for America and for the families in line to come here legally, 4.7 million people waiting to come to America legally, I will stop illegal immigration. And I will do that. By building a fence, number one. Number two, by turning off the magnet. Now you might think, well, what are you talking about? I was in San Diego with Border Patrol agents where we have a fence, and they said, look, the fence and Border Patrol agents are critical to securing the border, but so is turning off the magnet. I said, what's the magnet? And they said, we create advantages for people to come here illegally. Jobs, employers that hire people that are here illegally, giving in-state tuition to people who've come here illegally. These things, you got to turn off the magnet. I will crack down on employers, for instance, that hire people who come here illegally. I'll make it easier for them to know who's legal and who's not. But if they knowingly hire people that are here illegally, they're going to get sanctioned heavily. Because I want to make legal immigration work, I will stop illegal immigration. It's time to do it instead of just talking about it.
Hi there. My name is Lynn Breyer, and I have a question that's kind of unusual. I know that you know about Agenda 21, which is one of the most insidious programs that's been perpetrated on the people in this country, and I'll bet there's hardly a person in this room who knows what's going on. But the smart meters, the rural council that the president just put into place is all part of that. It's a program to hand our sovereignty over to the United Nations. I'd like to know what you will do about Agenda 21.
Agenda 21 seeks to establish, if you will, United Nations views on how we should develop and expand communities. Look, America is a sovereign nation. I will do nothing that cedes our sovereignty to the United Nations or anybody else. There was discussion about the NAFTA superhighway. I mean, that was 4 years ago when I was running for office. I think that's finally been killed. I sure hope so. But we have to recognize that the United Nations has a role. I think it's a good idea to have people come together and talk to one another, even if they're lying. We can at least hear what they have to say. I appreciate the fact that the Atomic Energy Commission inspects various places around the world. We find out who are the people that are cheating and who are not. There are some valid purposes, but the United Nations is not going to tell the United States of America what to do. I was recently in Great Britain and met with current and former prime ministers and other leaders of that country, and one of them, who I won't quote by name, but said something very interesting to me. He said, Mitt, if you're lucky enough to be president of the United States someday, as you meet with the heads of foreign governments, they will undoubtedly be critical of one thing or the other that America is doing and want to talk to you about that. But he said, don't ever forget that the one thing the world fears the most is a weak America. There is no better ally for peace in the world than a strong America. And maintaining our sovereignty is one of our
My name is Tom Hunter. I live here in Sonics. I see you have a lot of good ideas in which direction you want to take this country. But given the state of Congress, the movement that they're not able to do, how do you plan to get your agenda and your programs through Congress?
Yeah, thank you. Boy, darn good question. And by the way, sometimes it's a good thing when government can't move. Right now, I'm happy we've got enough Republicans to hold off the president's agenda. I mean, his first 2 years, when he could do whatever he wanted, he borrowed trillions. This president's on track, as you know, to borrow more money in his 4 years than all prior presidents combined. I mean, so putting the brakes on is sometimes a good thing, but I want to do more than put on brakes, as you point out. You've got a copy of my economic plan. I've got 59 specific measures in there of what it takes to get our economy righted so we can be the most competitive, effective place in the world to compete and to have good job growth. So how do I get that done? Because most likely not every member of Congress will be Republican. And even though that would be an interesting and fun experience, I've learned you have to work with the opposite side of the aisle. How do you do that when you disagree? In my state of Massachusetts, we have a lot of Democrats. You may have heard that. Anybody here from Massachusetts? All right. No, those are all the Republicans we used to have. That's it. So, one back here. All three. Oh my goodness. They've gone negative anyway. So I came in, and my legislature was about 85% Democrat, 15% Republican. It did not take me long to figure out that if I was going to get anything done, I had to be able to work with the Speaker of the House, a Democrat, and the Senate President, a Democrat. And I went and met with them in their office. I didn't say, come see